They were only 12, 13, and 14 years old. Before they were old enough to drive, they became the center of some of the most disturbing child murder cases in American true crime history. In this documentary, we investigate the shocking stories of Eric Smith, Christopher Pittman, and Joshua Phillips, three children who became killers, and the question that still haunts investigators: how can a child become a murderer? On August 2nd, 1993, 4-year-old Derek Roby disappeared while walking through a small neighborhood in Steuben County, New York. At first, residents feared the worst. Volunteers searched the area, and police began looking for a possible abductor. But the investigation quickly took a shocking turn. The person who had seen Derek shortly before he vanished was not an adult. It was a 13-year-old boy named Eric Smith. Witnesses remembered Eric acting strangely during the search. He appeared unusually calm, and investigators noticed inconsistencies in his story. When police questioned him again, the truth began to emerge. Eric eventually confessed to luring Derek into a wooded area and killing him. The crime stunned the entire community. Eric was described as a child who had been bullied, isolated, and struggling with emotional problems. Yet many people could not understand how a 13-year-old could commit such a brutal act. In 1994, Eric Smith was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to prison. More than 3 decades later, his case remains one of the most disturbing examples of a child becoming a killer. Smith was released on parole in February 2022 after serving approximately 28 years. On November 28, 2001, 12-year-old Christopher Pittman was living with his grandparents in South Carolina. That evening, his grandparents, Joe and Joy Pittman, disciplined him after he had choked a fellow student on the school bus earlier that day. Nothing about the situation appeared extraordinary. To outsiders, it seemed like a normal family conflict. A short time later, Christopher took a shotgun from the house. He shot both of his grandparents while they were asleep. After the killings, he set the house on fire and drove away in his grandfather's car. The case immediately shocked the nation. Investigators struggled to understand how a 12-year-old could plan such a violent act and then attempt to destroy the evidence. During the trial, the defense argued that Christopher had recently been prescribed antidepressant medication and that the drug may have affected his behavior. Prosecutors disagreed, claiming the murders showed clear planning and awareness. In 2005, Christopher Pittman was convicted of murder and sentenced to 30 years in prison. However, his conviction was later vacated, and in 2010, he pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and was resentenced to 25 years. He was released from prison in 2023. During the trial, the defense argued that Christopher had recently been prescribed the antidepressant Zoloft, whose dosage had been doubled just days before the killings, and that the drug may have caused a manic reaction that affected his behavior. Before we continue, I want to hear your opinion. When a child commits murder, should they be treated as an adult, or should their age always matter? Let me know what you think in the comments below. In November 1998, 8-year-old Maddie Clifton disappeared from her neighborhood in Jacksonville, Florida. For days, police searched desperately for the missing girl. The case received intense media attention, and neighbors joined the effort to find her. Living just across the street was 14-year-old Joshua Phillips, a quiet teenager who knew Maddie. Investigators later discovered that Joshua had accidentally injured Maddie while they were playing. Fearing punishment, he panicked. According to prosecutors, he then killed her and hid her body inside his own home. The discovery shocked even experienced investigators. For an entire week, Maddie's body remained concealed in Joshua's bedroom while search teams looked for her nearby. The case horrified the community because it appeared to begin with a childish mistake and end with a deliberate attempt to hide the truth. Joshua Phillips was eventually convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. While he has sought resentencing under changes in juvenile sentencing laws, His life sentence remains in place as of 2026. His case remains one of the most disturbing examples of how fear, panic, and poor decisions can escalate into tragedy. Eric Smith was 13. Christopher Pittman was 12. Joshua Phillips was 14. 3 children. 3 lives forever changed. And 3 crimes that continue to disturb investigators, psychologists, and true crime audiences decades later. What makes these cases so unsettling is not only the violence, it is the fact that the people responsible were still children themselves. Some believe these acts were the result of trauma, isolation, mental illness, or a broken environment. Others believe that age can never erase responsibility for murder. Even today, there are no easy answers. If this documentary made you think, leave a comment with your opinion, and subscribe to Pinpoint Mysteries for more true crime stories, unsolved mysteries, and the darkest cases history has left behind. Because every place has a story, and some stories are impossible to forget.